Look what I got, a new shipping container, because you just can't have enough shipping containers, but it's on my flatbed trailer. As my friends in Kentucky would say, now how am I going to get this down up off in this? This is too heavy for the tractor to lift, so we're going to have to try to unload this by hand. How hard can it be? It only weighs, well, it weighs this many. Ideally, I would just have Chuck Norris here. He would probably just look at it funny. It would unload itself and probably stretch this 20-foot container into a 40-foot container. Unfortunately, Chuck Norris just doesn't come around here much anymore, so we're going to have to unload this by hand, starting by removing the chains and binders. Chains and binders are off, all four corners. Let's get this off of here. This thing is heavy. I think we're going to have to dive into the world of mechanical advantage, levers and such. The way I'm visualizing this all going down, I need to lift the container up a little bit off the trailer bed so I can get something underneath it, which brings us back to the original problem. This thing is really heavy. At times like these, I like to think, what would Archimedes do? I think Archimedes would use a lever. Let's try a lever. As he said, give him a lever long enough and a place to put it, he could move the earth. I do see some problems associated with trying to move the earth with a lever. Quite a few problems actually, but I think the principle of it, the idea he was trying to say, holds true. I can move this a little bit, but not enough to slip anything under it. If we channel our inner Archimedes, we can get a longer lever. I can lift it, but without having extendable go-go gadget arms, it's hard to put anything underneath it from here. I think we're going to give Archimedes the day off. Instead, we're going to use Pascal's principle and use the mechanical advantage of hydraulics. To do that, we're going to need the assistance of a couple beams and some cribbing. So let's go to the sawmill and make some. Now we have a pile of stuff that should come in handy. I didn't get any video footage of cutting down the dead tree that I made this out of. So unfortunately, you didn't get to watch the tree fall down, go boom. But I'll show this clip of another tree falling down, going boom. While we're at it, I might as well show you this tree falling down, going boom. Yeah, I'm just procrastinating now, getting on with this because that thing's heavy. How about we watch another tree fall down, go boom? Okay, enough fooling around. Let's get to it. When I lifted that, a lot of that lift went into decompressing the springs on the trailer and mostly on the truck. When I set these down on the blocks to get another round of oomph, I'm going to set the jack down so when I let this down, it's not going to just recompress the springs, so I'll have to decompress them again on the next lift. The old noodle comes in handy once in a while when it isn't getting me into trouble. reposition the jacks to lift them up, then we'll give it another lift. Okay, I think that's up, upper than it was before. I think it's up enough now to slide this 6x8 beam in here. Looks like I may have some help on the way. Although they don't look real ambitious. I did the same thing on this end. I put this beam under it. I didn't show that because it would have been a repeat of the first one. Now it's sitting on a couple beams on the trailer. You could argue that it's even more up on the trailer now than when we started. It's even less unloaded now. But I have an idea, and that involves cribbing. I'm not sure which famous smart person came up with the idea of cribbing or what mechanical advantage that falls under. Maybe the mechanical advantage of what could possibly go wrong with this. Did the same thing on the other side. Same deal on this side. We'll lift up this side, set it down on the front cribs. Technically now it is unloaded because it is off the trailer. Not a single part of it touching the trailer. The trailer and the container are both tilted downhill this way, which was really brilliant doing this on a little bit of a slope, but this is where I want it to be to make it easier to move when I get it down. Then it levels off over here, so when we pull out, it might lift the trailer up some. It may drop down a little at first, but then it might rise some as we pull out. Hopefully there's enough clearance here to clear the beam. Little things like that you have to pay attention to when you're dealing with big heavy things. If when we pull the trailer out, if it snags on that beam and pulls everything forward, that could be a big problem. Let's get this bitch up out from under this. Huh. I know these would be stronger if I had them turned 90 degrees, but then it would be even higher. I looked up the strength of a Douglas fir 6x8 beam of this grade, and it's about 12,000 pounds weight distributed. There's hardly any noticeable bowing at all. Much more strength than we need here. These things have been no help at all, pretty much worthless. Or maybe they're smart enough to know when to not get involved. Just stay back and watch from a safe distance. Now it is officially both unloaded and down. Thanks a lot, Mr. Obvious. We appreciate that. If you ever need to load a container by hand, you can do it the same way, just do the opposite. You jack it up on the cribs, back the trailer under it, set it down on the trailer. Now that I'm finished, they stand up. It probably isn't one, but I'm going to take that as their version of a standing ovation. Now they're running off. Weirdos. Now for the inevitable questions. Why don't I just use a piece of equipment to lift it up off the trailer? I don't happen to have one handy here. Well, I do have something that would lift it in a roundabout way, but it has a tendency to tear up the whole place in the process. Let's get out of the wind. The wind's been messing with my microphone this whole video. My original plan was to have my friend Jeremy from the YouTube channel Jeremy Reber Pure Dirt come up here with his big excavator and lift it off with that. But this container became available sooner than I expected. I got it up here a couple days ago and I need to use my trailer for something soon, and I just wanted to get the job done. I don't know how long it's going to be before he could get up here and do it. With the time it would take to track down and haul a piece of equipment out here to unload it, I did it this way in just a few hours. Why don't I just have the container company deliver it with their container dumping truck? I don't think they or their truck would like my road getting up here. And if I did it the easy way, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to make a video about how to do it the hard way. Sometimes it's good to know how to do things when you don't have things that you would otherwise need to do things. A lot of times people would look at something like this and it's too heavy, I can't do it. You can do it, you just need to do it. Unless, of course, you don't have the tools to do it with. If you don't have a couple of jacks, a forest of trees, a sawmill, I don't know how you'd get this thing down. There's always the back up really fast and slam on the brakes so it slides off approach. You might have to run at it several times to scoot it each time. I don't really recommend that. There's always the attach one into a tree and then pull out from under it approach, which I don't think is a real good idea either. Then there's always the, hey y'all, hold my beer, watch this approach. I don't recommend either of those three. That's when I know when a video is time to end, when I start saying things like recommend. I don't recommend either of those three things because I like not having my things destroyed. Now they're coming back. The last question, what am I going to do with this thing? Stay tuned for that. I would tell you what I'm going to do with it, but I still want to keep my options open in case I decide that's too much work and decide not to do that. But soon. We'll get into that soon. Until then, I'll put a couple videos up here for you to watch. I'm done.